All right, let's start this off, y'all.
Listen, friend. Things have been real tough lately. Everybody's been cooped up because of Rona. We all thought that virus would have been dead by now, but it's damn near Thanksgiving, and that bitch still around. Hell, even California saying you can't see the whole family without having to follow a bunch of bullshit. So let's make it simple for you, with a Hunger Bastard Thanksgiving special. It's a whole 30-person Thanksgiving Day meal packed forcefully into a microwave-safe box. It's got turkey, stuffing, potatoes, and pumpkin pie, all smothered in gravy, bacon, cheese, and whipped cream. We could use this technology to solve world hunger, but the only hunger that matters on Thanksgiving is yours. So tell your family to fuck off and grab yourself a Hunger Bastard Thanksgiving special. And God bless America.
Welcome to the Broke. Stop laughing.
Let me do it. Hey,
okay,
it's the Broke Otaku. Hey, shut up. Stop what you're doing and listen to this shit. It's the Broke Otaku podcast just for you. It'll make your day good. If you're having a shitty day, if you're having a good day, it'll make that shit that much better. It's the Broke Otaku podcast. So shut the fuck up and listen up.
That was great.
BROKEOTAKU.
I forgot about it. We should just make that the theme song. Every time BROK.
Of course, these guys need no introduction except Marcus, a.k.a. the Speedo Torpedo.
Speeding around. Watch out for my torpedo.
And
What?
Alan, a.k.a. Yankee Doodle Douchebag.
Hey, man. It's like our country and shit. So, like, it means we gotta, like, get these bitches drunk. Cause,
Is
like,
that the same
America
Yankee Doodle
and stuff.
Douchebag who did the ad last week?
What?
No, man. That was my pal Cooter. Who's down the
Cooter.
street. Like, he's blazed all the time, man. I'm more of a drinker. I like, Jim Beam and Jack Daniels and all those J
I don't
name
smoke.
guys.
I only smoke when I drink. You know people
Yeah.
like that? Dumb fucks. And I drink every night, so
I'm always drinking, but I never smoke unless I'm drunk. So I just stay drunk so I can smoke.
that's pretty much how they justify their double habits. If drinking and smoking make you happy, go for it. You ain't hurting anybody except yourself.
I have something I want to clarify too about incels.
All
And then I have a question for
Here
you.
comes the pew pew
wasn't
pew pew
talking about-
pew incel information hour.
It's
Bulletin.
the Incel News Hour with Alan.
Bulletin. No, just
Yankee Doodle Douchebag.
we rip on incels a lot, and I don't want anyone to feel bad because if you are out there, if you're a good person giving it your best and it just hasn't happened for you yet, we don't have a problem with you. We don't mean to bring you down. Don't give up. There's someone out there for you. But if you're one of these like, the government should give me a woman because I'm a dumb piece of shit, that's who we're making fun of.
Has
That's all I
anyone
wanted to clarify.
Suggested that the government should standard issue women.
That's where incels came from. That's where I heard it. Incels is like this group of like Billies was out there talking about they can't get laid and it makes them angry and then they go and shoot people. And they were saying the government should provide, or somebody should like provide a woman for them. Oh yeah, and then AJ, you're supposed to give us a history of the word cuckold. Or
Oh,
cuckold.
am I supposed to give that? Well, let's wait. We'll hold off on that.
I wrote it down here.
There's some, we can link that back to the theme, which is going to be I keep wanting to say Hands of Manos. That's a different show.
Yes.
Or Hand of Manos.
You might
This
be
is
thinking
Blood of
Seis
Zeus.
Manos.
I might be thinking Seis Manos. Hand of Manos. Isn't Manos the Spanish word
Manos
for
Hands of Fate
Manos,
is a
the Hands of
really
Fate.
bad B movie.
Okay, well, I'm mixing like 3 or 4 different things in my head.
What do you think? Is the thing you're thinking of an anime or what?
I don't think it's even a thing.
So Hands of
making shit up.
the Manos Hands of Fate is a really bad B movie. Seis Manos is another Netflix adult cartoon that was
I must be thinking Manos Hands of Fate then.
that's a really bad B movie.
From the 60s.
Yeah.
Oh, budget $19,000. Wow.
Man, that's how much
wanna
money
watch
I
that
make in
now.
a week. That's not true.
I make that in a year. All right, let's kick off this game. For those who are new to the podcast, the format is ad, intro, game, and then we talk about
They don't
what we're
give
going
a
to talk
fuck.
about.
No, they don't
They
care.
do give a fuck.
I mean,
'cause
they
you
might
have
if
to.
you're listening, hoping for anime stuff, and then you're always met with this bizarre mix of, of fake
incel
fake
facts
writing,
and-
fake. Yeah,
That has very
get there.
little or nothing to do with anime at all.
we just want to build the anticipation and string you along a little bit, and let you get to know us as people before we talk about the things that you care about.
It's about the personal connection. We want you to think that we're your friends. We're not, but we want you to think that we are. And so if you feel so inclined, you can play along at home with the game that we do each and every episode. In this case, we're doing a trivia game. I got real uncreative with this game. I apologize. But
Fucking A,
because
dude.
But because the Xbox and the PS5 are releasing this month, I thought it would be fun to do some video game trivia.
Well,
and
it's
not,
like
I'm not going to ask you
tomorrow,
like,
right?
oh, who's the main character in Halo? Dun, dun, dun. That's stupid. I'm going to say like industry questions.
Okay,
Chef.
well, hey, spoiler alert.
I know.
Alan's gonna
We
win.
know you don't play video games.
Alan's
Marcus.
gonna win. Why the fuck are we even playing this game?
He ain't going to win. He don't know this shit.
Maybe I do.
Well, if he don't know it,
he
I'd
does.
for definitely show don't know it.
This is all you might. Listen, it's multiple choice, so at worst you just guess wrong.
Multiple my dick.
Which is what I do every week with all the when I have to contend
And
with
a lot
the
of
deep
this stuff is
anime knowledge
just,
you guys have.
It's all history, so it's not even like, oh, what time of year did the Xbox One X come out? It's not that.
Now, that would be a dumb question.
Marcus, the Xbox Series X is the one coming out, not the Xbox One X. Don't confuse it, like everyone else in the world is.
All right, well, whatever. See, that's why I'm gonna
Speaking
lose.
of-
I didn't even know there was. I didn't even know what the new Xbox system was.
Speaking of, Taco Bell delivered my free Xbox.
You got it already?
I got it this
Wow.
afternoon. It
God
was funny
bless
because I was
Taco
walking the
Bell.
dog.
That is so.
And FedEx
dope.
drove by, and I had to wait for the dog to finish pooping, and then we ran back as fast as we could. It was
Yes.
the nerdiest thing I've done in a while.
Well, I mean, that's not nerdy. That's just smart.
Well, my kids were there to collect, but
Oh, okay.
I don't trust them to not, screw something up.
Okay, then you're just a big dumb nerd then.
Yeah, and a little from column A, a little from column B. I mean, I'll take it. But anyway, video game trivia. We'll talk about the history of video games, and it'll be fun. You'll enjoy it, and if you don't, whatever. Okay. I have my notes here. All right, let's talk about this. You guys ready? Multiple choice. Do you want to try to do the buzz in, like make it with sound with your noise?
Can I have the Jeopardy noise? Boop, boop, boop.
in honor of Alex Trebek?
In honor,
Yes.
rest in peace. Pour one
Rest in
out for
peace,
you,
baby.
homie.
He
Alex
died?
Trebek. He
didn't know that?
died.
No.
You've been off
Yeah,
the
he died
grid.
yesterday.
Marcus had to disconnect
That's
for his heart.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, we lost Alex Trebek this week. I mean,
Oh,
he's a legend,
shite.
but also he was kind of a dick. I don't know if he was always a dick, but like, I mean, you do the same game show every day for 50,000 fucking years. Like, I'd probably be a dick
I
too.
think you just get a chip on your shoulder. You're just like, Man, who the fuck else gonna host?
Are,
you?
I mean, are there,
straight made fun of
there
him.
stories of him like bitch slapping contestants or something?
No, he just like says like snarky shit. He straight somebody Mega Ran had beef with him.
Mega Ran? What?
Yeah, Mega Ran wrote like an Alex Trebek diss because like somebody, you know, they talked to the contestants during the break or after the commercial break, and somebody said like something about people who play games or read comics or watch anime or something, and then Alex Trebek was like, "Oh, you mean losers?" And I was just like, "Damn."
That's kind of funny, honestly.
And it is pretty funny, but it's also like you didn't have to do him like that.
What a fucking asshole.
To be fair, though, like when you watch Jeopardy, did you ever see Alex Trebek stutter or mispronounce?
He was.
Oh no, he's
Beast
great.
mode.
He did what he
was
does. He's the
beast
best.
mode.
He reads at a 1,000th grade level. Nobody.
Yeah, but he
reads like
also
that, dude.
he also reads. He also like tells you the answer like he doesn't have it right in front of him, like he knew it.
I know.
And he's not
It's
reading off
kind,
a damn card.
it's kind of awesome, though. Like, it's
is.
like, look, dude, you stepping into the Jeopardy house. Like, you can't be no, like, softy. You got to know your shit.
He's not the sensei at a dojo.
I mean, it's the ambiance of the show, man. You coming to play the big leagues. This ain't Wheel of Fortune.
Sure.
What is the Alamo? You dumb motherfucker.
Well, yeah, he'll
Yeah.
like throw in a
Samuel
little
L.
thing
Jackson
like, how
should
could
take
you not
over
have known
Jeopardy.
that?
Come on, you idiots.
The Alamo
You're on
was
Jeopardy.
60
You should know this stuff.
The Alamo
The
was
dude who
65,
won-
not 63.
The dude who won Jeopardy, like for I don't know, a year, like
Ken
every
Jennings?
week, and no, the dude after that who was like a professional gambler.
Oh, right.
Yeah, he said that he would read children's books on like history and stuff because all the questions on Jeopardy are real like high level. So
Yeah.
he would read these like books designed for younger people and then just kind of absorb the information at that level because it's not going to ask you like something super complex. It's all just high level trivia.
All right, so we were going to play a game at some point.
Let's go.
Anyway, okay. The first question, are you guys ready?
Yeah.
Sony, Microsoft, Sega, and Nintendo have all sold millions of video game consoles, but what is the best-selling video game console of all time? Is it A, the PS2, B, the Nintendo DS, and that includes the entire family of DS consoles, C, the Game Boy, or D, the PS4?
Beep, 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 beep.
Marcus,
Boop, boop, boop.
what is your guess?
What is the DS?
It is a family of consoles with two screens.
No,
one on the
you
bottom,
dumb
one's being
bitch.
the touch screen.
That's
It's
my
not,
answer.
Okay, you want to make this like Jeopardy in honor of Alex
Okay,
Trebek?
sorry,
Okay.
I was supposed to say B.
No. Do it. Go ahead.
What is
DS? No.
What is B? That's DS, right?
Incorrect.
What's our B's?
You picked DS, and that is incorrect.
Okay.
Oh, now I get an advantage. Do I get to guess now?
I guess. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I'm going to guess.
That's how Jeopardy works for real, I guess.
Didn't even make
I'm gonna
rules
guess
to the
PS4
game.
because-
Lazy son of a bitch.
They crushed it last generation.
PS4 is also incorrect.
It's PS2, isn't it?
It is PS2.
It's PS2.
That was my
It's
second
close.
guess.
That was my second guess too. It was almost my first guess. Actually,
PS2,
DS was my
100
first guess.
I would have thought
155 million.
that's
I'll tell you exactly how many numbers.
that's impressive.
155 million PS2s, 154 million DSs,
Wow. I guess
118 million Game Boys, which I found kind of surprising, and a 102 million PS4s.
That's it.
PS2 just has the benefit of time because DS what generation
Like
was it
17
that
DSs
DS
though.
Yeah, but what generation was it? Because when PS2 was out, weren't we still in Game Boy Advanced era?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
DS, I don't have this down, but I think the DS came out in like 2004,
Okay.
and then the DS Lite came out in like 2005 or 2006, and the DS Lite outsold the normal DS.
Are you including the 3DS?
No, this is separate from the 3DS.
Okay. Just wondering.
But the PS2 had like a 10-year lifespan.
Yeah, when did the PS2 first come out?
2000 and actually I think 2000.
All right,
And
so it
then-
has 4 years on it.
It lasted till it had about 4 years, but I mean, it had like a 10-year lifespan. PS2s were popular, man. Everybody wanted a PS2.
Yeah, I mean, they were making those things like pennies too.
And each Sony console up to like PS4 had the advantage of having, like, PS1 had a CD player when they were new. PS2 had a DVD player when they were new.
Yep.
PS3 Blu-ray when it was new. So they knew what was up, and it was always cheaper just to buy a PlayStation than to buy whatever the thing that went with it.
Yeah, Sony be killing it.
That it did. They did a good job. Speaking of the PS2 has over 3,800 games released for it.
What?
Which of these titles was not a launch window title for the PS2, meaning it didn't come out within the first 6 months or so of the PS2? Is it A, The Summoner, B, Tekken Tag Tournament, C, Metal Gear Solid 2, or D, Street Fighter EX3?
Boop, boop, boop.
Boop. Alan?
I'm just gonna guess Tekken Tag Tournament. Teachers.
No. Marcus?
Okay.
The D.
No.
What was it?
You guys aren't very good
bad
at this
at this.
game.
Well, you're a
Bad
piece
at
of shit.
this.
Why would you make this game for an anime podcast?
Metal Gear Solid 2 was
Did not
the answer.
come out in the first
It was
6
not
months?
within the launch. No, it came out about a year after. And that, I thought you might get it, Alan, because one of our first games was Zone of the Enders, and it had a demo for Metal Gear Solid 2.
That was
The
a
game
good
was
clue.
not out.
I didn't realize that.
So the advantage was to Alan, but he still pooped his
flunked it.
pants. So you
Pooped the
both
bed.
have 0 points. This is going very well.
Keep
Let's
it
move
coming.
on.
Keep it coming, Game Master Chief, boss.
Atari was known as being one of the first home console creators, but was also partially responsible for the video game collapse in the early 80s after a series of terrible game releases, including E.T. The founder of Atari also founded what popular dining franchise? Was it A, Topgolf, B, Dave & Buster's, C, Chuck E. Cheese, or D, all of the above?
Bam, bam.
Marcus.
D, all of the above.
Fell for the oldest trick in the book.
No.
Well, you get it right then.
What was the second one? Top Golf? How is that a restaurant? I don't know. It's
That's
not
the
that.
first one.
What was B?
Dave & Buster's.
Dave and Buster's. I'm gonna go with Chuck E. Cheese.
You're correct.
Yeah,
I think his name's
guessed
Steve
right.
Wozniak. He created Atari, and he also created Chuck E. Cheese.
Them
Seems
big
like
scary
a
animatronics.
fitting combination since it was full of video games. Speaking of Atari, what was the best-selling Atari 2600 game of all time? Was it A, Pitfall, B, Asteroids, C, Pac-Man, or D, E.T.?
Beep.
Alan.
Pitfall.
Close, but no.
Ding.
Pitfall was second.
Dang.
Marcus. Marcus.
What was the other ones again?
Asteroids, Pac-Man, or E.T.?
Pac-Man.
You are correct. Pac-Man sold 7.7 million copies.
Did you know Pac-Man is actually called Pucku Pucku Man, but they changed the title for America because they thought people would vandalize it and call it Fuck Man?
I meant to look if that story was actually true. I don't think it is.
I don't know if
but
it's true or
love
not.
it.
I just remember
I
that
did not
from Scott Pilgrim.
follow up. Yeah, I don't. Whatever. If it's true, great. If not, that's a dumb story.
I was just trying to impress Ramona Flowers.
Okay, well, she's not real, so.
Yes, she is, you bitch.
You incel. Pitfall sold 4 million, Asteroids sold 3.8 million, and E.T., the worst game in the history of the world, was 1.8 million. And you guys should check out Netflix's show. I can't remember
High
the name
Score.
of it, but it's, yes, they talk about the creation of E.T. Basically, this dude built it by himself in 2 weeks, showed it to Spielberg. He was like, okay, They sold it and it was shit.
And they buried them in the desert.
I don't even think I need to hear the story now. Like, I like that version
Well,
of it.
the whole series is really interesting, but that was a part of it that was pretty good.
I like that rendition of it. That's like the best version. You should be a documentarian.
I'll be a 15-second documentarian. That would be my first episode.
You got TikTok potential there.
TikTok potential. All right, which video game franchise was born as a result of a failed attempt to procure licensing to make a game based on Popeye? Was it A, Mario Brothers, B, Donkey Kong, C, Kid Icarus, or D, Pitfall?
I'm gonna go with.
You didn't beep in, you bitch.
I started talking. That's my beat.
That's his beat.
No.
Bippity bop boop bleep B, Donkey Kong.
That is correct. The love
Suck
triangle
my
of
cabbages.
Olive Oil, Popeye, and Bluto was inspired for Jumpman, aka Mario, Donkey Kong, and Pauline. The name Donkey Kong was used by Miyamoto, its creator, to convey the term stubborn ape, and it just stuck. So the whole thing about, it's Monkey Kong, and they had translated it because blah, blah. No, it's actually... He
So it's really
used the term
ass
donkey
ape.
to explain.
Stubborn
It is ass
ape.
ape, yes. I was going to make that joke, but I appreciate that you got there first.
Thank you. We have the same brain.
We have the same mom, too.
Gay.
Anyway. All right, a couple more. When the Xbox One was announced, people lost their shit over a list of required features that were later remediated. Which ones were they? Was it A, requiring a Microsoft Kinect? B, requiring always-on internet connection? C, the inability to play used games? Or D, all of the above? Marcus,
D.
you are correct.
Actually,
People lost it when the Xbox One was announced, and they said all those things. You had to buy an Xbox One with a Kinect, which was stupid because the PS4 was $100 cheaper, and they could have made the Xbox $100 cheaper and sold at a competitive rate. They wanted an always-on internet connection, which they replaced with sometimes on, and the inability to play used games, which was a big marketing point for PS4, that you could play used games. So they were pretty stupid.
Yep. Yeah, they were leaning real hard on trying to like force people into playing Kinect. Because I remember PlayStation Move was a thing, but they weren't. They were kind of like, hey, if you want to play it, cool. But also, if not, that's fine. Xbox was like leaning on it hard. Like, dear God, please play this.
Right.
They
Please
probably
use
spent
this
a lot
every
of money
day.
developing it, and
I mean,
and
it's cool
lost too much
technology, but like, shit, what are you thinking? People just want to sit and look at their games and have a controller.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
I think the
they don't
thing
wanna
is they're
move
trying to
their
expand
bodies.
that audience to like the more casual gamer because there's the
they're trying to
novelty
do
of
what the Wii did.
right. Yeah,
The Wii already did it.
yeah. They just can't. Nobody can do what Nintendo did. It's weird. And Nintendo. The funny thing about Nintendo too is like I feel like they're not scared of failing because if they do something and it fails, they'll just be like, so.
Yeah.
Well, they got so much money in the bank that they can
They're
afford
too
to
big
do
to
that.
fail.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, they're like, we'll just do something else.
Is what you call it, Labo, the thing, still a thing?
It's
Did
still a
that
thing, but
pass?
like you can find them pretty cheap. Like you can get the sets were like $100 at one point. You can get them for like 20.
Nice.
They're fun, but it's not a thing per se. I mean, you can make like they try to tout like, oh, you can make your own games and make your own cardboard things to go with them, and like I don't think anyone ever did much with that.
Yeah.
But it's a cool idea. What was I gonna say about Xbox? Oh yeah, they got really cocky after the success of the Xbox 360, and they're like, "Oh, you just do what we say." And then everyone's like, "Nah, I'm gonna go buy this PS4 because it's pretty good and it's cheaper."
A conversation
And they
for
did.
another day, but I would like to pick your guys' brain as to why you think the 360 was like so gangbusters over the 3, and then while like the 4 just like smacked the 1 across the face. We don't have to talk about it now, but that's something that interests me.
Maybe. I don't know.
The short version is the PS4 was cheaper and it was easier to develop for. And the other version is Xbox 360 was cheaper and it was easier to develop for. So, it flip-flopped. And then eventually Sony got smart and started investing in better first-party games. So,
gotcha. Same shit, different toilet.
Yeah, pretty much. All right, my final question, then we'll do a little lightning round. And then we'll get into the meat and potatoes.
Get into the long form answer.
Okay,
and the short essay section.
Please submit your essay within the next 24 hours.
3.5 format.
The highest priced video game console was the 3DO, launching at a ridiculous price of $699 in 1993.
Damn.
Yeah, which mainstream console held the highest price in the last 20 years? And I looked this up. I was like, 20 years? Damn.
Damn, the 3DO was like over 20 years old?
Yes.
I remember the PlayStation
PS3
1
came out in 2005, I think, or 2006.
Oh.
That was like 15 years ago.
I remember the PS1 being obscenely expensive. And like my friend got one for Christmas, and then like I think it was like $600 or $700. Maybe it was like $500, and my kid brain was like, "What? That's the biggest money ever." But like, yeah, it was. I think it was maybe $500, and then it went down to like $300 or $400.
Well, answer my question. Which one mainstream console highest price last 20 years? Was it A, the Wii U, or B, the PS3, C, the Xbox 360, or D, the Xbox One? And these were console launch prices.
Do.
Me.
Wii U, PS3, 360, or Xbox One. Marcus.
The PS3.
That is correct. Do you know how much it was? I already said it.
600.
Actually. Yeah, it was 600. The Wii U was 350, which just seems insane.
That's because Nintendo, they just be like, man, let's make this shit fast.
Yeah,
put it out with no competition.
That thing was a flop. It was a good console, but I don't know who they were selling to.
They were just trying some shit. I think they got bored.
They're like, let's just.
I think they continue to be bored. Honestly,
everybody wants to hold a whole computer in their hands. On the sides. That won't get heavy.
You know what?
Gamers, they play for 4 hours. They got strong hand muscles.
You know what? Everybody got a TV, but fuck that. We gonna make the screen a part of the console.
You don't need the TV. It's the best part of it. You don't need a TV. No extra
You actually
cost.
did need the TV for most games.
They're just like, look. We got Pokemon. We'll be fine.
Yeah.
Like, just throw some shit up on the wall. Like,
I'm pretty sure they didn't release any Pokemon games for the Wii U. Not like proper Pokemon games.
Like, look, man. Like, Yoshikawa's father, you know, he's a big wig. He's really breathing down our neck. He's saying we're not utilizing the experience that his son has and his ingenuity. So, you know, this generation, we're gonna let him have it. He has this Wii U idea. We know it's bad, but we gotta run with it. Just do it.
We have one on the chin.
We have Pokemon. It's fine.
The takeaway from this question is that console prices are actually, considering inflation, relatively low.
Yeah.
Because the 360 was $400 at launch. The Xbox One was $500. And both new consoles today are $500 for the highest end model.
Is that because they're more like computers now and like they don't have to develop all this proprietary functionality?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because they're basically taking existing parts and pieces and I mean they customize them. Like all the SSDs inside of these consoles are custom SSDs, but they're basing it on existing technology. They're not doing anything new. This is a lightning round, and let's just do it. So I'll I'll ask.
Worst
I'll
game
say
show
some-
host ever.
I'll
I'm
say
Alex
something,
Trebek,
and I'll
this
call
is
out.
Fuck it.
I'll call out your name, and you say if it's one thing or the other. So I'm gonna name features and exclusive games, and then I'll call you out, and you tell me if it's for the PlayStation family or the Xbox family, or both. Ready?
Okay.
Nope.
First one, Alan, the DualSense controller.
PlayStation.
Ding. Marcus, SSD expansion slot.
You're a piece of shit. Both.
Wrong, only on the Xbox.
God, give him the easy one.
This is actually gonna... Okay, I'll switch it up. Marcus, Spider-Man, Miles Morales.
PlayStation.
Ding. Alan, Hellblade 2.
Hellblade 2.
You were
PlayStation.
just gonna give him
No,
all the easy
Xbox. That's not an easy one.
No, that was
that's why I
for
switched
me.
it up.
Originally, that was for me.
Alan, super fast load times.
PlayStation.
You
No,
can say
both of them.
both.
Both of them. Both of them.
Yes, both. Marcus, 4K, 60 frames per second.
Both.
Yes. Alan, Cyberpunk 2077.
Oh wait, no, it's an exclusive. PlayStation.
No, it's both.
Ah, shit.
Marcus, subscription-based access to game library.
PlayStation.
It's both.
Fuck.
Alan, plays games.
Are you serious? Give me that. Skip that question, man. Give me the
I
next
hate
question.
you so much.
Just do it.
No, I'm vetoing that question. I'm protesting that question.
Okay, Marcus.
No, you give me
Looks
another.
good.
Give me the next one. You don't skip. me.
No, I'm making a point here.
You're an asshole.
What?
My point is, people who are so butthurt about PlayStation versus Xbox, you're ridiculous. There's more important things to worry about. And when you go down this list, super fast load times, 4K 60 FPS. They both play Cyberpunk. They both have subscription-based game libraries. They both play games and they both look good. Just pick a console and fucking deal with it.
So the game's over. It was all just a ruse for AJ to bitch at people online.
Yes, exactly. People still fight these stupid battles. Like, are you kidding me?
Who is pettier, the ones who argue online or the one who constructs a whole game show?
He made a whole game for the
A whole game show for the whole sole purpose of pointing out that, like, it's just video games.
All the listeners are their minds are gonna be blown. Like, whoa!
Yeah, all 20 of
Next
them.
level with this.
Yep. They're going to be
petty
like,
bullshit.
oh, I didn't see that one coming.
Oh my god.
My point is that people who have this argument are petty and they should shut up.
Oh my god.
It's true, though. You remember, though, like when new consoles came out when we were younger, it's like, oh, damn, look at this 3D. Look at these graphics. Look at this controller. Like, everything was new. Now it's like, everything just looks better,
Yeah.
but it's not really new.
I was watching so I finished so let's segue. Video games thing that we're talking about. Today we're talking about the Blood of Zeus. So after I finished it today, I watched clips of the God of War 3 remaster because I remember it looking so good when it first came out on PS3. Like, God of War 3 on PS3 was so optimized and was so gorgeous for the time. It still looks good. It still looks really good. But anyway, segue. Blood of Zeus. Let's talk about it.
That's all you're going to say? Like, the game looks good? I thought you were going to say, but something.
I might
So
have
that
had
made me
something
think of
else.
how this one game that was out before, it looked good when it came out. It still looked pretty good too.
Cool take, man.
I might have had something else I was going to add to that, but
Blood of Zeus. Let me set the record straight. Yeah, for those chumps who want to make the argument it's not anime, yeah, okay, we get it. But
it
it's
says an
anime-inspired.
original anime or the Netflix original anime series.
Hey,
Says it right
Wikipedia
there on the tin.
Wikipedia calls it an American adult animated television series. Thank
That's
you,
more
Wikipedia.
accurate.
I love you.
You look at the producers, there's not a Japanese name in sight. So.
Yeah, they're all like Papadopoulos and Escaduskadu.
It's like Castlevania. Like Castlevania is pretty anime, but it's not anime.
We had this discussion prior. If you would like to hear our opinions on what we consider to be an anime and what isn't.
I'm just saying for people who are upset that we're talking about Blood of Zeus on an anime podcast, like just get over it because that's what we chose.
They're not upset.
We do what we want.
Probably not.
But you should go back and listen to our episode, Is It Anime, where we talk about Castlevania. And
all right, who's professional enough to remember which episode number that is? Not me.
I want to say it's like 3 or 4.
I think. Do you want to check?
It was early.
Good job.
And I don't remember where we landed conclusion-wise on that. And my opinion might have changed since then.
We all had differing opinions.
But that's fine. Blood of Zeus, boy.
Yeah, what's up?
Let's, Marcus, you want to tell us what it's all about?
Yeah, so Blood of Zeus is a story set. It is a Greek mythological story, and it is about a boy. His name is Heron. He is a bastard son of Zeus. One of many, of course. If any of you know about Zeus, he's always sleeping around with mortals and gods alike. So it is about him and his mother, who keeps the parentage of his father a secret. They live in this village and they're outcasts and everybody treats them like shit because it's ever since they got to the village, there's been a consistent pall of clouds over the city or village or whatever it is. At the poli is actually what they call it, which is the Greek word for city, I believe. Anyways, it's about this kid and, without spoiling too much, him learning the truth of his parentage, and a bunch of things unfold after that. There are people after him specifically because of who he is and how he was begotten. And gods fight, demons happen, monsters are risen up from the seas. And,
Giants, titans.
Yes, giants and titans and gods. Oh my.
And lots of spare ribs.
We are going to talk about spoilers, by the way. So if you don't want to spoil the show, turn the podcast off, go watch the show, and then listen to the podcast.
3, 2, 1, let's go.
Boom. So let's give. I want to start with just
high
real quick
level impressions.
Each one of us just give our high level impressions. Did you like it? Did you hate it? And then we'll get into the why. So, Alan, what did you think?
I enjoyed it.
Okay. Marcus.
I also enjoyed it.
I did not.
You finished it, though? You watched the whole thing?
I did finish it.
He made himself finish it, apparently.
I made myself finish it.
Oh, yeah, you were going to bail on, like, episode 6, but...
Yeah. It's like 2 episodes
I thought
left.
Marcus... I don't know if you did it on purpose, but I thought you were not going to like it either.
Me?
Marcus.
What made you think I wasn't going to like it?
I don't know. You see your tone?
My tone was...
I don't know.
My tone was to say nothing.
Yeah, well, you did it. Good job.
We were talking to each other in our chat group thing about it covertly.
We have a cool chat group, guys.
It's not full of incels at all. It's filled with a lot of people that actually aren't incels, but you wouldn't really think that they wouldn't be.
What are you talking about? These are our friends, Marcus.
Yeah, I'm making fun of my friends. I'm making fun of myself too. Shit.
What a jerk.
We're not incels. We all smash.
Anyway.
Jeez. They should know. I mean, my kids interrupt my podcast recording every episode. So
AJ's smashing days are over. He smashed early and often.
My smashing days are behind me.
Paying the price.
Paying the Pied Piper. Here comes Choco. What? Anyway, what
are we talking about? Okay.
All right, who wants to go first? Give their impressions. Marcus, why don't you give your why you liked it?
Okay, so I'll say up front, I wasn't expecting to like it because one of the said incels in our group, who's not actually an incel, he like hyped it super hard, which I'm actually mad about because I did enjoy it, but like it ain't great, you know. But so the first 2 episodes I was watching, I was like pretty bored actually. So I was mad because I knew I had to finish this because we were talking about it for the podcast, and it was only 8 episodes. So it's like I have to just go ahead and power through this. But by the time it got to the 3rd episode, I feel like that's when things started to happen, and that's when that's the first time an episode ended where I was like, okay, I really want to see what happens next. I can't remember exactly what happened in that episode. I think maybe that's the one where his mom died. And the main character, I forget what the main character's name is actually. And like the
Heron?
Oh yeah, I said it. Heron. Yeah, duh. Heron his mom gets murdered by Seraphim, who is the main antagonist of the series. And then I was kind of like, all right, I'm kind of in now, because there was this whole conflict between like the demons, and then the goddess Hera got involved in it and was like manipulating him. So that's when it started picking up for me. And from that point on, I was very interested in the story because, I mean, Greek gods are cool. There's not a whole lot of anime or graphic novels or anything like of that nature that I know of that really deal with like the Greek gods and tell a narrative like that. So I thought that was cool. Not to get into too much detail about this stuff yet, but liked the music. Like the art was good. The character designs were good. And yeah, overall, like the story was interesting. It was cool to see the gods effing around with mortals. Like, just don't get a whole lot of that. What about you, Alan? What did you enjoy?
I enjoyed. I love the way it looks. I love the style. I have like a love-hate relationship, or love like frustration relationship with this studio. Like, because I get the same feelings that I got from Castlevania. Like, I loved Castlevania. I couldn't stop watching it, and I burned through this. I watched like 6 episodes last night, and then I finished the 2 today, and it wasn't even really an issue. Like, I was entertained the whole time. But like, I think what keeps me coming back is like the hope, or like just seeing how they tell their stories. Because like any still frame like looks gorgeous, but then like when they're moving and switching between the frames, it just kind of looks weird. And it's like consistently inconsistent. So like I always want to see if the next part is janky or if it's really well done, which is a weird like trap. But also I'm like, you know, I'm watching, I'm like, this is gorgeous, like this looks great, and I'm like, oh, that was janky, oh, that was weak, all the sound work was weak there. And like I'm really engaged with the material the whole time, which is like an interesting, you know, like if it's too good, I'm like, oh, it just washes over me, and I'm like, wow, that was perfect, what happened? But like I'm like extra critical of this show. But anyway, you know, in the midst of that, I enjoyed it. I was entertained. I wanted to see what happened next, and I didn't have to force it. So yeah, whatever they did, it worked.
I like the soundtrack, and that was about it.
The music was badass. What didn't you like?
The music was good. The animation was ass, as you pointed out.
Animation was trash. It was abysmal.
It was awful. I have some key points I want to point out about the animation and kind of just the cinematography in general, which I'll point out here in a minute. I didn't like most of the characters. I kind of sympathize with Hera. Like, Zeus is kind of a dick. And I'm like, Hera is completely justified in hating this dude.
Yeah, I did too.
So I'm like, is Hera supposed to be the villain here? Because I'm like, yeah, get that dude. He sucks. Seraphim was cool. Heron was kind of I don't know, kind of a weenie, and like his character arc kind of fizzled out to me. Maybe I missed something, but like
I don't think so.
It seems like halfway through the series, like Heron's just took a back seat to what was going on with Zeus and Hera and all them. So it kind of, I didn't really get attached to any of these characters, and like overall there were a few interesting fight scenes, but like the narrative was just kind of dull and uninteresting. Like Zeus was a douche, which kind of made maybe that's his character in Greek mythology, but like I don't know, he didn't really have any redeeming qualities. And I guess it's supposed to be a revenge story for the brothers, but it really it didn't drive the narrative enough, and it wasn't enough of a focal point. And like there's a few parts where Seraphim and Heron see each other, and he's like, "Join me," and like I don't like the relationship there, and the fact that like I don't know, Heron has this dedication to Zeus for some reason, and Seraphim has this kind of self-serving, dedication to himself. I don't know, like it just didn't make me interested in either one of their stories, because neither one of them really had enough attention and enough progression in character development that made it worth investing any emotional attachment to these characters. Zeus was kind of a just obnoxious. I think both, maybe it's just the voice actor, I don't know, maybe the voice actor did okay.
I hated his face. I wanted to punch his face.
Yeah, he just was not likable, and he wasn't redeemable.
Yeah.
And like you kind of jump to the end where it's like, okay, let me go through this. We're going to get into it here. I have some specific details. Let me talk about the cinematography here first, because I can get through that pretty quick. There was a point in the show where someone's on the back of a horse, and they have this helmet on, and like someone swings a sword, and they like do a Matrix style, like lean back, and the sword like kind of grazes the helmet. It just didn't look that cool. Like they were going for it, but it just didn't land for me.
Yeah, that's
and another.
Okay, sorry. Let me interject, because I want to just piggyback on that point. So part of what makes this show good and enjoyable for me, but not great, is because this is a show that leaned a lot on its action, but it never had whether it was like money and time or resources or whatever, because I doubt that the animation studio doesn't have the skill, but they weren't given the time to invest in good enough animation to really sell those points, where they're doing like the slow motion 300-esque, like this is a battle scene, they swing the sword and the guy barely misses, or somebody like throws a spear and you see it go slow motion through somebody's neck or whatever. It's like, well, the animation's not good, so you're trying to make something look cool in a format that doesn't look cool, because you're not putting enough effort into it for whatever reason. Maybe you just don't have enough money. And that is the thing that you did see in Castlevania. But the cool thing about the Castlevania is at the end of each season, it's like, all right, they were saving up all of their money for this. And then so those last episodes, especially the end of season 3, they animated the shit out of it. And it was like orgasmic. This show never got to that point. So it's like, it doesn't make sense to lean so much on your action when the visual quality of the show isn't the strong suit of the show.
Right, and they just kind of tried too hard with some of them to try to make them look cool. I don't know if it's like, oh, we animated this, but let's really emphasize this thing here. Like, there's a scene where Alexia catches a spear, and they're like, oh, so awesome. Like, it's slow motion and everything, and it's like, it really wasn't that impressive.
Yeah, it's animated really crappily too.
Yeah. So it just, right off the bat, like I think that was like episode 2 or something. And I was like, that's shitty. Like it just did not impress me. I wasn't watching this like, and you like, I think they could have done okay with it if they hadn't emphasized and slowed down and just made it like part of like the natural motion of things. Like I think about, for some reason, the intro, the OP for Canon. You guys ever watch that show? Or Canon? I don't remember how you say it.
Canon?
Canaan. Yeah, and part of the OP is like this one girl just kicking like 3 dudes' asses, and she does like 4 different things in the span of like a second. And like if you slow it down and watch frame by frame, you're like, oh shit, she did that too. Oh, she did that too. And it's just awesome. And it's like if you make even like a generic move, like grabbing a spear out of the air or something like that, part of the normal action, Princess Mononoke does this too. He's like cutting arrows out of the sky with his sword. Like that's just cool. Don't slow down and emphasize something that is just cool in a normal flow of animation and then make it not cool because you slowed down too much and emphasized it. That was just my only observation with
it's
the
like
way those are animated.
It's like at that point, what you're really doing is you're not emphasizing what's actually happening. You're emphasizing the style in which you're displaying the action itself. So in like a really well animated thing, like when we were watching Weathering with You, like they would just show rain. Rain is nothing.
Right.
Who cares about rain? It was cool because it's like, holy shit, they just animated like 10,000 drops and you can see like the movement inside each little droplet of rain as it's falling slowly down, and you see the city looking all gorgeous in the background. So that's why it's cool, because the presentation itself is awesome. Or even like in the movie 300 where they do things like slow down and stuff. I know a lot of people didn't like it. I fucking loved it because I thought the visual style was amazing. Like I loved how the movie looked. So when they did something in slow motion, you're just taking in this scene of like just how they set the frame up and the lighting and the crazy costumes and this dude that's just like super jacked wrecking some fool that's in front of him. This is like, hey, this animation sucks and we're going to slow it down and accentuate how much it sucks because we're going in slow motion, but you can tell that this is like 3 frames happening and barely any movements going on. So it just looks amateur. It's like, yeah, how about don't do that?
The worst was, and I'll get to this in just a second, that's the scene, but Hera stabs Zeus in the neck, and then it's like 3 frames across like 10 seconds of her like transforming into a bird or something. And it's like, I don't know if they were going for stylistic, but it just looked cheap. It's like, man, did your whole staff get laid off because of COVID? Yeah. Like you couldn't animate these keyframes? Like, come on, man. It was just bad.
Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. Like I'm so perplexed by it that I'm just intrigued by the approach that they took to this. Like, because the close-ups of the faces, like when they zoom in on Hera's face and she's all mad, like I think that stuff looks good. I like the style. I like the way everything's drawn. I think it's unique, but like when it moves, everything it just falls apart.
Right.
Yeah, it's the difference between...
I mean, the character designs are good.
Yeah, it's the difference between art and animation. Like, those are 2 different things.
And it feels like the kind of thing you get with, like, a video game cutscene or something where, like, it's almost fully animated, but it's not. So it's, like, it feels very, like, budget where, like, everything's there and it's trying to be, like, a big boy animation, but there's just pieces missing. Like they're like, oh, this epic swing of the hammer, it made me question, like, what does other animation look like? I'm like, because it doesn't look like this. It doesn't feel like when someone's like turning their head, there's more than 3, frames of animation. And like, I have to go watch something else now to remember what.
Well, it feels like everything's disjointed. Like none of the characters seem to have any reaction or weight to the environment. Like if you see a character walking, it looks like someone just animated someone walking against a blank screen and then they pasted it onto like some grass.
Yeah.
And it all feels like they handed off pieces of animation to different people and then just kind of cut and paste it all together. So like something would be sized a certain way and then it's like, oh, we'll just shrink or expand it. And I'm not an animator, so I don't know how those things typically work, but it feels like certain scenes, somebody would be like 3 feet tall and then like the depth perception of that scene would be off. So it looked like they would be 10 feet tall next to something else. And it just didn't jive well together. Like nothing fit together. It all felt just like You remember that game Spider-Man Cartoon Maker where you just drag in like characters and they animate? It looks like they made it using like a tool like that where you just kind of drag and drop the elements that you want to animate on a background and then just make it work.
Well, I noticed as I was watching and I'm like, why doesn't this action hit right? Because like they're doing pretty cool stuff. Like it's not animated the best, but like there's no sense of motion is what I realized. Like swinging a sword, like, a lot of shows they would animate like the trail of the blade, like because being swung so fast, so you feel the motion there, but they just do it straight. Like they just draw the frames and the sword's moving. There's no like like the stretching or the the warping of the way it's drawn to indicate motion. You know what I'm saying?
Yep, I know exactly what you're talking about.
So like
it's a good way to describe it. It's very straight. It's like this is how these objects move.
Yeah,
rather than like how can we make this look cool and exaggerated, even if we exaggerate it a tiny bit.
They didn't do the tricks to like fool you and like they didn't put the juice on it. And like they had like motion lines or like the white lines like trails when people move fast, but they didn't. Yeah, everything just feels a little weak and a little plain. And
that's what I'm saying. Like things don't have weight to them. They just feel like they're floaty. Things feel floaty.
Yeah, it's funny because there was the fight that they had on the war galley, and there was like several times where they were just tossing dudes like off of the boat into the water, but it felt like they didn't even hit them that hard. They would kind of like run at them with their sword, and then like their shoulder would like brush up against them. And then all of a sudden this dude is flying like 100 feet in the air and like 500 feet out away from the boat. And I'm like, I mean, okay, I guess.
Yeah, like there's no consistent physics to the world, I guess you could say. Like everything just feels like this needs to happen and this is how it's going to happen.
And nobody moves like a person. That was one of the, when I was raving about why I like Jujutsu Kaisen so much, is because those action scenes, when they throw a punch or they throw a kick or when they jump, the anatomy of the human body that they're animating, like it feels like they're animating a person. It feels like when Itadori is throwing a punch, that's how a person would actually throw a punch. With this, it's characters are moving and he's moving his fist so it hits the other guy.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel like a punch.
Yeah. Right. It feels like if you took an image of somebody holding their fist out and then another image of a dude getting hit and they just kind of pushed them together.
So what else did you hate?
Here's something real nitpicky. I just want to throw it out there before I forget. Every time the episode started, they would slowly reveal the title. And I guess there was like a theme to each reveal, but like it just irked me every time that animation would show up because it's like 30 seconds of I know what the damn show is called. Like get on with it. And they would drag it out. It drove me insane.
I liked the concept. It didn't bother me, but I wasn't a huge fan of the execution because it's another example of they wanted to make this thing look super cool, but they didn't have enough time or money to do it.
Right.
It almost looked like
they hired a college student to do it. Like, can you guys make a title screen, like 8 of you? Well, these are all pretty good. We'll just use them all.
Well, what it looked like to me is what you would call a proof of concept. So you have an idea. You need to present the idea to the powers that be to convince them to go this way, whatever it is. And you say like, all right, this doesn't need to be polished. Just do it well enough so that it looks good enough to convey the idea. And so they can see it and be convinced by it. That's what it seemed like to me because it was very slow. It was a slow reveal. It wasn't so beautiful that you're like captivated by the image that you see before you. It's just kind of like, all right, the Blood of Zeus title is coming and it's made out of blood this time. Okay, it's made out of fire this time.
It's made out of steel.
Okay, this time the words are cracking as you hear the footsteps of the giant in the background.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's a cool idea, but poorly executed. It irked me for some reason. That's nitpicky. I have much bigger things that I am concerned with.
Let's hear them.
So I finished episode 6, and I was like, I do not want to finish the show because I was not impressed at this point. But I powered through. So episode 7 starts, and the first thing that happens is Seraphim jumps down and kills Zeus, right? He's sitting in the tub and he stabs Zeus in the eye or something. Oh, but it was just a dream. So he didn't really die. And then you find out some information about Zeus helping Seraphim, which I don't know, he kind of did in a douchey way. I don't know. It just didn't really redeem Zeus for me at that point. But then, I think it was later that episode, Hera stabs him in the neck. So now Zeus is dead for real. Still no reaction from me, right? The next episode starts, and Hera is talking to the giants, like, hey, can you help me kill Zeus? Like, what the hell did you just do? Like, you just stabbed him in the neck. Like, were you just convinced that that wasn't going to be enough to kill him?
She took control of Hermes. She used her, like, telepathy or whatever, her telekinesis
to stab Zeus in the neck.
No,
presumably killing him.
She mystique it. She took the form of Hermes.
She mystique it, yeah. And then that's when she turned into the bird for 5 frames over 10 seconds.
Oh, right.
And flew away. She stabbed him in the neck.
He wasn't dead, though.
Exactly. You thought he was dead at the end of the episode because he's bleeding out on the ground. End of episode 7. And then episode 8 starts. There's that's 2 times that you thought he was dead.
There's a lot of narrative fails.
Right. It just didn't, I don't know. The 2 fake deaths for Zeus just didn't sit well.
Yeah.
And then he tries to do this like self-sacrifice moment at the end that was supposed to be all heartfelt. And it was like, oh, he's dead for real this time. Okay, I guess he's dead for real this time. And it just fell flat for me. It's like all of a sudden Hera is... We'll get to the ending, the very ending here in a second so that I make sure I understood it. Hera's no longer possessed or no longer evil, and they make this eye contact, and she's like, oh, Zeus, I guess I love you again. And then he dies, and then does she die? I don't remember. Doesn't really matter. So he dies for real this time, and the whole thing just didn't jive, didn't resonate with me. I didn't feel any emotions when 3 times in a row Zeus died. Like, I was just like, okay, these guys kind of a douche anyway, so be gone with him. So yeah, those 3 story points were kind of what stuck in my head and just convinced me that this show is not very good.
Yeah, I got some of my own. I wrote down fucking bear milk. So
yeah. Oh, I forgot about that part.
I don't know if you can blame that on the show though.
What do you mean?
I mean,
because weird shit in like that happens all the time in Greek mythology.
Okay, yeah, fine. I'll give you that. But you didn't have to like animate fucking an infant child drinking from a bear's teat.
Zeus's bear teat, no less.
Was it? No.
That was Zeus, right?
No,
unless he
Zeus
just told
was
the animal
bear.
to do it.
Zeus turned into a
I
bear.
think it was
and
a different bear
later.
We
They
don't
already
really
killed
know
the
for
real
sure.
bears at that point.
I thought he took the form of the bear and let him suckle from his teat.
No,
No.
Did Hera help him with
Maybe
the
I'm
bear?
wrong. I don't know.
All right, so look, I'll revisit. I want to say some stuff. I'll revisit that. Continue with the rest of your list.
What else? Okay, so at the end they're like, "Oh, who's gonna get the cauldron? Let's send Hermes because he's fast." And then they're like, Heron's like, "No, I'll go. They'll be expecting Hermes." But like, then he goes, and they didn't have anything for Hermes either. They didn't have shit for anybody. So it's like, okay, no point in that plan. And then in the end, they do where he's training with Zeus. They go, "Let your anger go. Look inward." Like his anger hasn't really been a problem. He's been pretty like weak sauce up to this point anyway. It's not like there's no like examples or good story pieces where his anger is holding him back, or like, oh, if he hadn't gotten angry there, he would have, it would have been better for him. So like that is like they just made that up, and then they bring it back at the end. They just repeat all the stuff that he told him during training, and I'm like, his anger still has not played in at all. It's just
I noticed like the dialogue was shitty at sometimes. There was
really
one
bad dialogue.
There was one. It was between Hera and Zeus.
Yes,
and I can't remember exactly.
Yes,
what
their
he said.
argument they had was just so.
Yes,
bad.
the argument.
Yeah.
And she said something, and he basically said the exact same thing that she said to him, like agreeing with her.
Oh yeah,
but he said it in
like,
protest.
I was your lover or something, or I was the queen. I was your queen. He says, "Were."
That's what it was.
And I was just like,
yes,
they did not.
That's exactly what she just said. Like,
I think she said I was the queen of heaven before they got married.
Yeah. Well, it was just his like
And
answer.
but yeah,
His
he
response is,
very
"Were?"
childishly and pettily was just like, "Were." That was his point.
But she said was, implying that she no longer is. And then he's still like, were.
I mean, he's basically like, to me, he's basically just pointing out the fact that it's like, yeah, listen to what you just said. I mean,
I guess.
I've done that before in a conversation where somebody will say something real quick and they don't actually realize what they just said. So I'll be like, yeah, you just said it.
Yeah, but you're not writing for an animated
I mean, it's
show.
not great writing, no. Especially when
he
it's
gave
like
the most like weak ass apology ever. It was just like, where's this coming from? Like y'all are still
It's
fighting.
true.
Like he gave this like teenage like boyfriend who cheated on you apology. Like, I'm sorry that I hurt you. I will make it up to you. And so that was weak.
There was one where Zeus was talking to some old man while Heron was training, and Zeus was like, he needs to be prepared. And the other guy was like, he needs a father. Like, not really. Okay.
Yeah, and like
Yeah,
I
some of the
thought,
dialogue
I thought
falls real
Heron was. I thought it was gonna focus on Heron a lot more than it did, and it really ended up being more about Seraphim, at least in the second half, which was more interesting to me.
I think they could have done a lot better if they had just condensed the show to like 4 or 5 episodes. Like the pacing would have been a lot better, and you could have shown.
Yeah, I didn't
things
feel
a little more closer.
I didn't feel the pacing issues. It just kind of petered along, or like, it was fine. The story was continuous, and like, I don't know, like the writing wasn't great, the animation's not great, but I feel like the pacing was fine. I don't know. I wasn't like bored at any point.
I'm gonna go to bat for the show. I don't disagree.
Please do.
I don't disagree with anything that you guys have said, and for those reasons, it's why I don't think the show was that great. But what I'll propose to you is this: I thought Seraphim was probably the most interesting character in the whole thing, especially when you learn about his backstory. Because at first
I would agree.
I agree with you.
You think this guy's just a demon who's just evil and fucked up, and then you realize that he's Heron's brother, and he was left alone without his mother to be in court where his uncle tried to murder him. He was raised by like a servant woman who took him away and like had the whole thing with the bears, and then he like kind of grew up happy in the wilderness for a little bit until that uncle tracked him down and like killed the woman he thought was his actual mother and blah blah blah. So he like has all this reason and this weight to be so jaded and cruel. So it's like, all right, that's interesting. Heron, like his backstory and stuff was also, it was the same, but I guess less severe. But like his character was just nothing to me. Like, I didn't hate him. I didn't like him. It was just like, all right, here's a guy. But why I was interested in the show wasn't because I actually ended up liking many of the other characters, Hera, Zeus, Heron. His mother, I just kind of felt bad for. I don't think she was like a really good character or anything. Like, I didn't like them, but I loved the interplay of the gods being in the lives of mortals, and how them and their agendas directly affected what was happening in the mortal plane. Like, I thought that was cool. There was a cool parallel between like Zeus's mood versus Hera's mood, him building his faction of gods, her building her faction of gods, and how they weren't supposed to directly intervene in the lives of Seraphim and Heron and the rest, but how you were always kind of wondering what their next move was going to be. And based on that move, how was it going to affect things? Like, I thought it was really cool how Hera basically, Zeus trying to protect Heron, and I think he protects Alexia at some point too. Paves the way for Hera to get Heron and Seraphim's mother killed. And even worse, Seraphim is the one who kills their mother, but that's before he really knew that it was their mom. So that was awesome to me. Like,
that was one of the
best.
Yeah, that was probably the best setup of the whole thing.
Right. Even though I don't like the characters, I like that. I like the chess pieces being put into play. And then the bear thing that I was going to go back to. So what happened with the bears was the servant lady who basically adopts Seraphim runs away. She's starving. She goes into this cave. The bear comes in and freaks out. Hera subdues the bear. Nobody turns into the bear. She like subdues the bear. It kind of like makes this kind of pathetic face and then lays on its side. And then 2 of the bear cubs come up and start suckling at the teat. And then she's like, okay, I have a starving baby here. So she puts the baby there. That shit didn't bother me. Greek mythology is weird. They do way worse shit than that.
I wasn't viewing it through a Greek mythology lens. I was just like, you gonna give a baby bear milk? Like, is that kosher? But whatever, it's fine. I'm over it.
Okay, fair enough. but anyways, so when at some point Hera approaches Seraphim and she's like, I'll give you what you want if you help me kill Zeus, because that's what I want. And for everybody listening that didn't watch the show yet, Hera wants to kill Zeus because Zeus slept with Heron's mother and gave birth to him, and he's a bastard, and she wants to kill him because he's basically the offspring of the quote-unquote whore, as she's always calling her.
The love child.
Basically.
She had twin boys.
Yes, but it's weird in Greek. It's weird in Greek, so somehow the twin boys are different fathers. I don't know. Can that happen in real life?
They said there's 2 placentas.
Right.
Which means 2 fathers, which sounded scientific enough, but
it sounded real Greek to me. But but I don't know whether or not that can happen in real life. Seraphim is the son of the man that their mother was actually married to, the king of whatever.
That was the scene where he said, "You've made me a cuckold."
Yes, you made a cuckold of me. Our favorite word. So anyways,
it's not my favorite word.
Hera, my favorite word. Hera approaches Seraphim and gives him the proposition to help each other out. You don't know this at the time, but she lies to him and says that she is the one who subdued the bear and looked after him in the wilderness for all those years. But you find out later that was actually Zeus, and she was lying. So Zeus was the one who was actually looking out for him too, because Zeus secretly felt bad about the fact that
didn't the bear glow pink though? Like, I might have to look at that again. But
purple. You. Everything that she would do would glow purple. But yeah. I mean, that's just what happened in the story. We don't even know. I guess there's the possibility that Zeus was lying about saying that Hera was lying. But in any event, I thought that was another cool thing too, because it raised the question in my mind. Like, okay, yeah, Hera actually is just kind of like this devious goddess, because she's just trying to. It's not just about killing Zeus. She wants to manipulate everything. And Zeus actually does have this caring side where, even though he's a douchebag and like trying to like skirt from his responsibilities of like cheating on his wife and getting people killed because he's made cuckolds of kings or whatever, like he still does have this side where he's like, all right, I am trying to care. I'm not just like peace bitches. So I liked that element. I liked all of that back and forth and the game that they're playing with these mortals' lives. I thought that was interesting. So that's why I enjoyed it, even though I thought that the characters weren't great. Some of the dialogue was bad. Some of the voices I hated, so on and so forth.
Yeah, and I can appreciate someone liking the story as it is. I just think that it could have been done with more likable or convincing, not even likable, but relatable characters or believable characters that just I don't know. The whole thing just my biggest, what I think would have made the show a little more enjoyable is if it didn't take itself so seriously. Like there's very little humor. There's very little what's the sense of the word where comic relief. That's what I'm talking about.
Levity?
There was like one or two characters that would crack jokes, but I don't know. I feel like Castlevania had a lot more of that. Like the banter between the characters was more interesting in Castlevania, and they would make funny jokes, and it was actually like, oh yeah, this guy's actually got a personality. Like you don't see any of that in this show.
I actually liked that in the early episodes, that it was so straight, because like a lot of anime always has like the humor injected into it, and I kind of liked that it was being like just serious, like it wasn't trying to inject humor. But then later you get the Simon Belmont-esque guy, Evios or whatever, who's like wisecracking, and at that point it was like okay. But in the early episodes, I didn't mind the lack of humor.
I didn't mind it because to me this show is pretty grimdark. Like it's way bloody, it's way violent, it's way fucked up. So like just the tone that it sets in the first two shows, it's like, all right, this isn't a light show, so I don't really need it to be one. So that didn't bother me.
I just think it helps to offset the ridiculous gore and over the top. Like, do I really need to see someone's muscle and bone when you cut off their leg, like close up?
No, they went hard on the spare ribs, man. There's spare ribs.
They went hard on them, and I was
right.
like, I need something to make me feel better about myself after watching this, just a little bit.
What in blood, or what about blood don't you understand in Blood of Zeus? It's all about the blood.
They didn't say anything about bones of Zeus.
Well,
And like, back to the messed up physics, like bones get cut like butter. That spear that the dude had was like, it's not even that big, but it was like cutting dudes in half, like it was nothing.
Well, spoiler alert, you find out that that's the spear of Hades, so it's not just a regular ass spear. Actually, it was a bident.
Yes.
Okay, let's talk about Hades, because I think I understood. So at the very end, Hades approaches Seraphim and tells him to kneel. Was that a callback to what Hera was saying? Did Hades possess Hera and was controlling her?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it was just like his final fate is awful because like he hated kneeling for Hera and now he's in the underworld and he has to kneel for eternity. Or I didn't know if they were hinting at there's not going to be any additional story.
Was he glowing? Was he glowing purple when he did that?
I don't think so.
I don't remember.
All right.
No, I think I would have noticed that, but I didn't think too hard about that exchange.
Yeah, I didn't think it was like a twist or anything. I thought it was just a callback to saying like you hated being manipulated in your life, and now because of all your sins, this shit's just gonna continue.
How did he get the spear to begin with? He just had it?
It was in the body of the Titan.
Oh,
that
right.
He ate to become the demon.
Right, okay. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah.
So overall, I didn't like the show. I don't recommend it unless you're super into Greek mythology. In which case you might enjoy it more than I did. But if you're looking for just some good animation, some good just general story that's pretty heavy, this is not for you, in my opinion.
Oh my God. Well,
I didn't love it, but I can appreciate why somebody would.
I'm going to go ahead and recommend it, but there's an agenda behind it. I just want more people in the States to watch shows like this so that American and Western studios will make more shows like this, and hopefully put
Yeah.
more money behind
Yeah.
making shows like this, because this is one of those shows that I think if it was beautifully animated, I'd probably be in love with it.
Yeah.
Just because I like to look at it.
Yeah.
Because like you were saying, Alan, the art is fucking fantastic.
Yeah,
like
it's such a weird like clash like happening before your eyes, because I'm like this looks gorgeous. Why does it look like shit? But it's gorgeous. Why is it?
Yeah.
What is happening? It's like this mind-breaking, like, what do I say? Like a contradiction. But I'm like, yeah, just when things are moving, they just don't move right. But like any still, you pause it at any point and it looks fine.
Yeah. Like the character designs are fucking great. If you're into Greek gods and you like want to see more stuff that's just about the Greek mythos, watch this show, because I loved the designs of almost every body, and the gods were the best looking. And another thing that I loved about the show is that they included so many of them, and if you know a little bit about Greek mythology, you can point out like who the specific gods are, and they don't hit you over the head like, this is Apollo, this is Athena, this is Diana, Diana's Roman, this is Demeter, this is blah blah blah. They just have them. They're just there, and you get to just look at them be awesome. Like freaking Mount Olympus looked dope. Hades, the place, and the god looked dope.
Yeah, Charon the boatman was sick.
Creepy as shit. He looked awesome.
He had a really awesome design. Yeah, and I was just like looking at the scenery. Like the scenery's beautiful. It's just it's a kind of a shame.
Yeah, it is. It is a shame because what's the word I'm looking for? Content. I guess content. It's content you don't usually see. There's not a whole lot of stuff about the Greek mythos, which is part of the reason I love Castlevania, because there's not a whole lot of vampire anime that I'm into, like the kind that deals more with like the intrigue rather than whatever the typical anime vampire stuff is. There are people out there yelling at me right now, but I haven't seen it. So I appreciate
Vampire Hunter D.
That's not about intrigue. That's just about a dude wandering around in the wilderness looking cool. Which, I mean, I love it, but you know, season 2 of Castlevania was fucking great, and they were just like in a castle arguing half of it, and it was awesome. So yeah, definitely would recommend it for people who like Greek mythology too. And like I say, it's good. There's stuff to pull from it, but not great. What do you think,
Alan? Bring it home.
I recommend it for the same reasons Marcus does. I would love to see more things like this, better supported. I don't know if I agree with you that this studio could have done it better with more time and money. I mean, like, yeah, you can do like more time and money is always better, but like, I'll have to go rewatch the parts you mentioned of Castlevania, because
watch the last episode of season 3 of Castlevania. It's the same studio, and it will completely convince you.
Yeah, I all right, I will. But I don't remember feeling at any point like, okay, this is what I wish the whole thing looked like. I always felt that feeling with this and with Castlevania, where like it's just all over the place. Like it looks good 1 second, and then the movement is just bad, and there's not enough frames, and it really shows. But like you said, Marcus, the designs are great. It's just entertaining. Like, yeah, the violence is over the top. So like, yeah, there's a couple times I like just didn't want to see anymore. Just like held my hand up, and before his mom got it. I was like, and it hadn't even occurred to me. And as soon as it did, I was like, oh yeah, of course the mom's gonna die. Like, of course she is. And I was like, I liked her. I wanted her to get out of her situation. And then it was about to happen. It was just like, I don't want to see it. But anyway, the music is great. I love the style. But it's just inconsistent. It's just all over the place. But I still recommend it. It was entertaining.
Here's a question for you, Alan.
What?
Are you gonna watch season 2?
Is there going to be a season 2?
I think so.
Okay.
I heard murmurings online.
I will watch. Yeah, I'll watch season 2 for sure.
It's highly rated online. I'd be surprised if they didn't do season 2. Hopefully they'll have more money and they can do better with the
I don't know what they
animation.
could do though. Like they I wasn't sure if that last scene with Hades was a hint at a season 2 or what.
I don't feel like it's a hint at season 2. Like it's said in the beginning, like there are a lot of Greek myths that stem from oral tradition. Some of the stories have been told, some haven't.
Oh, so you think it'll be different?
It could be, yeah. It could be a
cast.
whole different thing. It could be another story involving Zeus because Zeus is involved with so much stuff.
Yeah, that excites
mythos,
me a lot more than like, oh, here's more Heron.
Yeah, I have no desire to follow more Heron. He was boring.
Yeah.
I don't hate him, but he's boring. I'd watch season 2. I was on the fence about it, but the more I was thinking about it, I was like, yeah, I would. I'm not waiting with bated breath for it, but it's like if it comes out and I have time, I'd be like, yeah, let's check it out. Let's see what they do this time around.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, man, watch that last episode
I'm doing
of
it right now. That's what
Castlevania.
I'm pulling it up.
And even if it's not consistently good through the whole episode, just look what the studio does with the ultimate fight scene at the end. It is fucking fantastic. Super fantastic.
I trust your judgment. You better not be wrong or we can't be friends anymore.
Well.
All right. I think that's going to do it. This was a long episode. That's okay. Let's bring it home. Follow us on Twitter at Broke Otaku for anime deals, at Broke Otaku Cast for the podcast itself. Send us a message, send us a like, send us a comment, argue with us if you think this show is great.
Send us a used
Let us
sandwich
know
bag.
if you agree with me that the show is not that great and it's overrated and people need to sit down about it. I'd like to hear from you because I feel like I'm on a boat by myself, and that's okay.
Crossing the river Styx, man.
Lonely boat.
It's a little lonely.
You bring your 2 coins, get out of here.
YouTube, we're on that. iTunes, we're on that. Leave a review, 5 stars, please, por favor. And check us out on all the other podcast networks and all that stuff. Anything else you guys want to add in?
No.
Good.
Don't do homework. It's all homework now.
Say no to vitamins. All right. We will see you next time on the Broke Otaku podcast show on the internet 2.0.
It's the Broke Otaku podcast just for you. It'll make your day good. If you're having a shitty day, if you're having a good day, it'll make that shit that much better. It's the Broke Otaku podcast. So shut the fuck up and listen up.
Oh, yeah.
Well,